Welcome back everyone. So this is going to be the second video of our research video series. In this video we are going to focus on the introduction chapter. So in previous video we have discussed about what are the things that we need to consider when choosing the research topic. So in this video we are going to talk about the introduction chapter and what are the sections that we need to cover in this chapter. So we will go and discuss. Yeah, so under introduction section, we are going to cover about 7 sections, subsections. So in those subsections, this is going to be the very first one, scope and overview. So under scope and overview, so what you have to do is you need to bring your key elements. So in this video, we are going to focus on the impact of motivation on staff turnover. This is our topic. So what are the things that we can discuss on motivation? You can hear in the overview part and the scope part you can generally talk about how important these subjects are in this current business environment, how important it is, how are the organizations, tackle these elements in business environment, and how important it is turnover factor. So things like that you can generally talk about in this part. Generally, you don't have to specifically say about this research or anything. Just touch on these two variables generally. Maybe you can add a couple of citations as well. So that is about scope and overview. And project significance as in what is going to be the potential impact after this research. Who are the stakeholders that are going to get the benefits out of this project? If, for example, you can mention stakeholders are going to get the benefit out of this report. Maybe the management can have different strategies, and maybe employees can have better motivation, strategies and everything. So you can mention under this. So what is going to be impact and also the importance of this report. Now you can refer to the report under this importance and potential impact. So have a small paragraph. Maybe even you can even use a table to mention about the stakeholders. Just slightly cover the benefit and the potential impact under 1.1. This is going to be the project significance. And of course, the next one is 1.2. You know about this background of the company. Now, let's say we have chosen ABC company as the case study. So you have to cover about the company. We have discussed about this in the assignment structure video series as well. So what you can do is you can touch on industry. Just brief overview of this chosen company. What you have to do. So you have to cover industry, maybe number of employees, and how many branches are there if it's a bank or something. So the basic details of this chosen company according to your research, you can mention according to your research, you can mention about this company. So this is about a brief overview of this company. So scope is basically about the general things about these two key elements, and project significance is basically about the impact and importance of this research topic. Okay, and background of the company very simple about your company. So you can mention industry, of course, number of employees, and when did they found the company, and when did they start this company, and yeah, so a couple of things, the basic details of that company you can mention on the background of the company. So this is going to be the 1.0, 1.1, 1.2. So we will be talking about 1.3, 4, 5, 6, 7 likewise. So we will talk about the 1.3 in next part. Okay, now we are in 1.3, the current situation. So this is one of the most important sections in introduction chapter. So you need to be very careful when you complete this 1.3 current situation. So this is where you have to mention the research gap. We have discussed about this when we in the previous video as well under uh, how to choose the perfect research topic. The gap is basically you have to mention according to your topic the research. There are a lack of research studies to cover this topic and key elements, and of course your case study as well. So that is what you call a research gap. So in research gap, what you have to do is you need to again, I'm going to repeat that again. You have to mention there are lack of studies covering this particular area. In my case, motivation, staff turnover, and of course ABC company. There are no studies or research projects covered in this particular area. So that you need to mention on the research gap. Maybe you can have a small paragraph covering that. And of course, then the main part, the issue. Now the issue is the turnover. You need to highlight this issue statistically. Of course, you need to mention current issue with statistical data. You need to prove it. Okay. So how you are going to prove? For example, if this the turnover, let's take 3 years, year 1, year 2, and year 3. So in year 1, it was 10%. It has increased into 15%, and now the last year it was about 25%. So there's a negative trend in terms of turnover. So now you need to fix this issue. So that is why you have chosen this dependent variable as turnover. So you have seen these numbers maybe in the annual report and any other sources or documents. So you have seen there's a problem. There's a negative trend. Okay, now you need to fix it. So when you fix it, you have chosen the motivation factor. We don't know what factor contribute this 25% the most, but maybe people are going abroad. There are many reasons for you to explain. But in this research study, you are going to choose motivation as your independent variable. Okay, so these numbers you need to highlight maybe in a table or in an illustration. So you need to prove statistically there's a problem in turnover. If you are choosing performance, of course you need to have performance numbers confirming it is going down. There are weaker. There are weaker. It is getting weaker over the time, over months or quarterly or yearly or whatever. So you need to prove turnover is not good. That's what you have to do. And also you need to mention since the turnover is going in a negative trend, you're going to choose motivation even though there are many factors contributing to turnover. In this study, you're going to assume this motivation is also has an impact. Because of that, you have chosen motivation as your independent variable. So that is about current situation. So this is about basically the issue. You need to highlight the issue. Issue basically the dependent variable. So you need to highlight the dependent variable in a very comprehensive manner with statistical data, illustration, charts and everything. You can use anything as long as you cite properly. So that is about current situation. And then research questions. So under research question, you can separate this into two sections. First one is primary research question. The second one is secondary research questions. So what is your primary research question? Again, very simple. It is basically your topic. So you need to convert this topic into a question. For example, is there an impact of motivation on staff turnover? So you convert this topic into a question, research question. That is your primary research question, basically the topic. Now, we talked about attributes in previous video. So let's take 4 attributes to cover this study. I would choose one, salary. What are the attributes? I've told you like in the previous video, under your independent variable, you need to separate few subsections as well. So these are 4 attributes that comes under independent variable under motivation. The first one, salary, and maybe I would say leadership, work-life balance, and also there's another one, recognition. Okay, so these are my attributes for this study. Now, under secondary research question, you need to replace your independent variable with these 4 attributes, and you should have 4 secondary research questions. So what's going to be the first one? Here, salary. What is the relationship between salary and turnover? Secondary research question. The second one. What is the impact of leadership on staff turnover? Likewise, you need to have 4 questions covering attributes and turnover. That is your secondary research question. Very simple. Again, primary research question is basically your topic. You need to convert this topic into a question. And secondary research questions are basically attributes that are under your independent variable. In this case, it is the motivation. So you should have four separated. This is called factors as well. In some ways, you call this factors under your independent variable. So these are the four factors I have chosen to complete my study. So you have to convert these um, factors into questions just like I explained. Replace this with factor and keep the same dependent variable. So what is the impact of salary on turnover? So likewise, you can create four questions and have under secondary research questions. So those are the difference between a primary and secondary research question. Now we have covered 1.4. Okay, now 1.5, aim and objective. There's only one aim and objectives. Objectives as in you could have like maybe 4 to 5 objectives. And the main name, it's again your topic. Basically, I would say I would start like the main aim of this report is to find or like identify the impact of motivation on staff turnover. So the main aim of this report, okay. So have a sentence covering your topic under main aim. It's very simple. So under objectives, you should have at least four objectives. I will tell you what are the things I need to cover. Always start with the word to. The first one is about literature. Again, about two variables. Maybe you can have a sentence like this. To critically evaluate the literature pertaining to motivation and staff turnover. So this is about, you should have a sentence. Just like I explained, you should have that sentence, but make sure you cover the words literature and these two variables. I will repeat that again. To critically evaluate the literature pertaining to motivation and staff turnover. So that's going to be your very first objective. The second one is about the same thing, but now you are going to focus on the relationship. To you, of course, you can rephrase sentences. I would use just a simple explanation. To critically evaluate the relationship. Now the word is relationship. So here literature and relationship. You see, now these the first and second objectives are mainly about literature, but the focus on the first objective is basically motivation and turnover separately. Whereas in the second objective, you are going to focus on the relationship of these two variables to critically evaluate the relationship between motivation and staff turnover. Okay, so those are the first two objectives. The third one should be about your primary research. I know maybe some students they do qualitative, some students they do quantitative. That doesn't matter. So here, what you have to do is you need to mention to conduct a primary research using quantitative, qualitative, or any research design. So you need to mention this is basically about the primary research, to conduct a primary research. So that's going to be your third object. And the fourth and last one, very simple, to arrive at the conclusion and recommendation based on the findings of the research, or maybe analysis on the research or entire research. So basically this is about conclusion and recommendation. You are coming into a conclusion and provide recommendation to arrive at a conclusion and provide recommendation based on the entire report. So you can say something like that. So these are the four objectives in simple ways. Maybe some students they can add another uh, explaining another literature part, that is okay. So these are the basic things. I always say, I'm focusing on, I'm covering the basics and the fundamentals of any research project. So that's going to be your aim and objective, one aim and four objectives. Okay, and outline and signposting, again very simple. So we have talked about signposting in previous videos. Signposting is basically you are going to tell, you have to tell, okay, these are the sections that you are going to cover in this study. if it's an assignment. So in this assignment, what are the areas and what are the things that you are going to cover? Under signposting and outlining, that's what you do. So in any research, they usually ask you to cover the whole chapters. So you need to explain chapter wise. You need to, okay. So following chapter includes literature pertaining to motivation and craft owner, and then thereafter you will have research findings and analysis chapter using the use of SPSS software. So likewise, the flow of this study, you need to separately discuss using chapters. Usually it should be based on chapters. So or else you can have a common paragraph covering the whole project. Okay, these are the sections, these are the things that you are going to cover in this research study. Basically the process map or the roadmap of this the whole research project. So that is what you call outlining and signposting. That is going to be 1.6. So we have covered 7 sections. We ended up in 1.6 because we started with 1.0. Okay. So now we have covered 7 sections. These are like basic things. I know as per your report guideline, maybe there are like additional things that you need to cover, and also maybe there would be like lesser than this. But these are the basics of research introduction. So when you cover these things in your research study, so you're good to go, I would say. So make sure that you cover everything in a perfect way. Always think and have your own structure before you start writing. Don't rush writing because you need to have an idea on the sections and chapters before anything. Just like I explained in the research topic, you need to focus on the research topic at the very beginning. Okay, and you do not write abstracted, that you should write the abstract at last. So you have to write introduction first. So I'm going according to the research process. So first research topic. Now the second one is research introduction. So on introduction, we have covered 7 simple sections. So make sure you cover all those sections when you complete your research study. I wish you all the best with your research.